Welcome to CS Law Firm channel, a legal channel specializing in consulting and providing services for overseas Vietnamese, commonly known as Việt kiều in Vietnamese. Can overseas Vietnamese own house and lands in Vietnam? It's a question that our law firm has received a lot in recent time. In today's video, we will share with you the provision of Vietnamese laws on this issue, as well as our advice for overseas Vietnamese on solution to own house and land without restriction in Vietnam. First of all, it must be affirmed that the ownership of house and lands in Vietnam for foreigners in general and overseas Vietnamese in particular has certain limitations, whereas Vietnamese citizens are free to trade, buy and sell, give real estate to each other. Besides, the conditions for overseas Vietnamese to own house and lands are also very different. Firstly, let's talk about the cases where overseas Vietnamese can own house in Vietnam. The overseas Vietnamese can own house in Vietnam when they meet two groups of conditions: the necessary condition and sufficient condition. The necessary condition is that the overseas Vietnamese are in Vietnam and their entry into Vietnam must be in one of the following two cases. The first one, entry with a valid Vietnamese passport bearing the entry stamp of the Vietnamese Immigration Management agencies. The second one, entry with a valid foreign passport bearing the entry and exit stamp of the Vietnamese Immigration Management agencies and accompanied by the document proving that the overseas Vietnamese still hold Vietnamese nationality, or paper certifying that they have Vietnamese origins, which are issued by the competent authority. In particular, the document proving Vietnamese nationality include one of the following documents such as birth certificate, ID card before going abroad, or expired Vietnamese passport. And next, the sufficient condition is that the overseas Vietnamese are just allowed to own certain type of house. Accordingly, there are the following type of house that the overseas Vietnamese can own. Firstly, directly buy house built in construction project in Vietnam from real estate company. Secondly, buy, rent, purchase, receive as a gift or inherit commercial house from individual, including apartment and separate house in housing construction projects. In addition, Vietnamese law also stipulates that the overseas Vietnamese can buy, exchange, receive or inherit houses not in construction project. However, for those cases, it has not been applied yet because there are no specific instructions from the competent state agency in Vietnam. Thus, at present, it is clearly confirmed that the overseas Vietnamese can own commercial houses and houses built under real estate project. That's about owning house. How about owning land? First of all, as everyone knows, according to the policy of Vietnam, lands is managed by the state and the citizens are recognized for land use rights. Regarding land use rights for overseas Vietnamese, the law stipulates that the overseas Vietnamese are able to buy residential land use right to be held by themselves in investment projects, and those investment projects must be allowed to sell the ground according to the regulation of the law. I would like to emphasize that the overseas Vietnamese can only use residential land. All the type of land are not. Thus, the overseas Vietnamese are not allowed to buy land from households and individuals, but only buy lands in project as I just mentioned. This means the overseas Vietnamese are very limited in owning real estate in Vietnam. However, there is a way can have the overseas Vietnamese can buy house and lands without the above restriction. Not only the residential land, but also the agricultural and non-residential land. That's why it does the overseas Vietnamese shall register for dual citizenship, also known as permanent resident registration in Vietnam. After completing these procedures, the overseas Vietnamese will be registered for household registration in Vietnam is called Hộ khẩu and will be granted a Vietnamese citizen identification card. At that time, the overseas Vietnamese will be free to buy, sell, exchange, transfer, and inherit on entire plan without any rejection. More importantly, the dual citizenship procedures do not affect the current foreign nationality of the overseas Vietnamese. So, what are the conditions to carry out the dual citizenship registration procedures? The overseas Vietnamese only need to meet the following three conditions. First, they have never carried out the procedure to renounce Vietnamese nationality. The second, they still keep one of the following papers such as Vietnamese birth certificate or Vietnamese ID card or expired Vietnamese passport. The thirdly, they have lawful residence in Vietnam. Our law firm has supported many overseas Vietnamese to carry out this procedure, and it can be said that this is the most effective and the only solution for the overseas Vietnamese to freely own houses and lands in Vietnam. When performing this procedure, we will evaluate the document status of the overseas Vietnamese to come up with the most appropriate and effective solution. With our professionalism, experience, and practice, we are committed to accompany the overseas Vietnamese during the procedure until the results are available. So, if you are planning to invest in buying real estate in Vietnam but do not clearly understand the relevant legal regulation, please contact us immediately according to the information on the screen for quickness support. Goodbye and see you next time.